Hello and welcome to another edition here of Sunday Night Soccer. I'm back with my man Mike D. We had some off days there during the holidays, but how you been, my man?
I'm good, dude. It's been that polar vortex, which has like depressed me this past week, just being snowed in and 2-degree weather. But
Oh man,
the sun's shining. I'm powering through it, and there's been some really good sports on. So I'm at the end of this like seasonal depression thing. I'm doing all
yeah,
right. How you doing, Jay?
yeah, you and me both. You and me both. I want to give a shout out to I don't know if you can see us on there. Look at that watch
What?
band, man. Oh yeah, from it's called Custom Envy. Shout out to Custom Envy. They're actually from Ohio. I didn't know that, but custom watch band for your Apple Watch. There, the
That's
podcast.
awesome, dude.
Straight from the training ground. There you go. So, anyways, we're glad to be back here with everybody. We're going to talk about some exciting topics tonight, building a championship culture, which is important to a lot of coaches. It doesn't matter what sport it is. Best soccer cities in the U.S., NFL playoffs, which are still going on right now as we speak. So tune in there while you're watching some football. You can watch us on YouTube. And we got some Soccer Rebellion highlights as well. And we'll work on our Spanish, our New Year's resolution.
That's right.
With that being said, we're going to talk about culture. And I think, like we talked about off camera here, culture is important. A lot of coaches has been a hot topic for several years, but a lot of successful coaches anywhere, I think, will tell you that culture is very important. You and I were talking about our reading habits and how we're trying to get a little bit better and get into some reading. One of my favorite books here is Culture Code by Daniel Coyle. Highly recommend it to anybody out there, as well as Lessons from the Best Coach from Dr. Jay Martin, Ohio Wesleyan men's recently retired coach. He's the all-time winningest soccer coach at any level in college.
Where is
So,
that? And that's Wesleyan in Ohio.
Ohio Wesleyan, yes, Delaware, Ohio. It's Division III. They've won a couple of national championships, Division III level. Excellent Division III men's soccer program. He's been there for 40 some years and just retired.
I
So,
actually have some of my good friends that I played with growing up that went to Wesleyan, Brad
yeah,
Bovea and Mikey Lomas. Yeah, those
awesome.
guys are
So,
excellent. I didn't realize that. That's great. I'm gonna have to tell
yeah,
them
you
to
definitely
do that.
check that out. You can get it on Amazon and I'm sure lots of other
Have
places.
you had a podcast with him?
Yeah.
You did.
Yep. Yes. And he also spoke last year at our state coaching clinic. And I can tell you, he's one of those guys. He's won more games at any level of college soccer than
Hmm.
anyone. And he's an even better person. Just a tremendous guy, tremendous person. He'll sit and talk to anybody about soccer, and he's big on culture. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, let's get to our first topic here. Like we said, culture. A couple of little things here about culture. Just want to talk, an idea. Some famous, coaches in the day, renowned for their culture. John Wooden, UCLA basketball. His three main rules were: don't whine, don't complain, don't make excuses. It's supposed to say make excuses. Our secretarial staff did not catch that, so I apologize. Um,
You
now I
went to
have
the
to go
best
back.
soccer cities. Yeah,
I know. So technical difficulties.
that's all right,
You
Jay.
should be used to
Just
that.
don't do it again, okay?
You should be used to that here on our stuff here. So, anyways,
Go back to
uh,
that screen though. That was a good screen.
all right. You like that screen?
I did like that screen. You
All
did a
right.
great job. I like how you put the gray in the back.
Yeah, and look at Soccer Rebellion. There you go. There you go. Phil Jackson, obviously the NBA, Chicago Bulls and Lakers, was famous for giving out books and things each season to his team and culture. Don Staley, women's basketball coach at the University of South Carolina. Bill Belichick, as we all know, his main rule was just do your job. And Coach K, Mike Krzyzewski, retired from Duke basketball, was big on the next play philosophy. Brian Kane, they were big on a lot of social media and public speaking with teams about culture. It says, a mission statement. I think this is important to remember for all coaches out there. A mission statement hung on the wall is not culture. A lot of times people have a saying on their T-shirt or a slogan. That's not your culture necessarily. Four main steps: identify your mission or your vision together, and we'll talk about that. But I think that's really important nowadays with your team is to talk about it with them and not just tell them what your slogan is going to be that year. Focus on the behaviors that are needed in order to follow that. Step 3, assess and currently compared to step 2. So see where you're at, where you need to go. And then 4th, create the plan on how to get there. So that's what we have right now on culture. What are your thoughts, Mike D?
So I think I'm a big proponent of culture and setting the tone. And when I was a younger coach, it took me a minute to really understand what that means. And it's almost the promise. of what your team buys into. I mean, I'm trying to figure out the best way to say it, but when I think of culture, it's the habits, it's the rituals, it's what they're buying into that they're going to commit to for the season. And the buy-in, I think, is the hardest part. And that's especially when you're working with youth sports, is getting kids to buy in, and especially when they get to that high school level, and where they think everything's corny, they think effort's corny or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Getting that buy-in sometimes is difficult for a young man, especially. And I don't have experience with the females as much at that level, but that's difficult. But um, getting that buy-in is extremely important. So when setting the culture, I think it's very important to have leaders on your team that are going to create that buy-in with their peers.
Yes.
To give an example, what I had my first time coaching high school at Catholic Central, we lost 8-0 and got mercied off the field. We didn't even finish the game at our home field against one of our rivals. It was my first, I remember just sitting on the bench after 4-0, like, wow. Like, what? But granted, we didn't have a goalie. So we had a defender playing goalie, and I just got the job like 2 weeks ago. So I was just kind of thrown into it. We ended up winning districts and mercing the team that we beat in districts. So that's, it did flip for us. But
yeah,
I remember there after that game in the locker room, looking at the team and kind of being flabbergasted for words, and saying, all right, do I ream them out here? Do I, I mean, do I get really corny and say, we can up from here? And I didn't say much. I said, sleep on this. I will see you at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. And that next morning, to my surprise, and what I really wanted to see was who was going to fight back after that loss. Going to give up, and who was going to keep going. And the one thing that I think I found out about culture from that was how important character plays in building your culture, and the players that you have on your team that have strong character, meaning that players that have a great work ethic, that don't just care about themselves, that they care about the team. Players are the ones that are going to drive your team's culture the most. And so I was lucky enough to have 2 senior captains that year that really stepped up and started demanding more in practice, got back in the locker room that next day, and I had broken. And what really needed to happen, long story short with that, is I had the players sing a song in the locker room together, because what they needed to do was just break this awkwardness with each other.
Yeah.
Like, they just needed to start being a team. Like, I went home and I just all I did was research, all right, how do I get a team out of this? But anyway, and I think so when you're setting that culture, setting that tone, having a championship culture, it's understanding the sacrifice and the commitment, and then having players and having the leaders that are just going to hold everyone accountable on that team and demand it, beside just the coach doing it. If the coach is the only one doing it, and you don't have a handful of players that are showcasing that, it's never going to go through. And I think that's what I kind of figured out from that.
I totally agree.
So going back to books that we've read. So so you did all this before I jump into, with this book that I read, that now all of a sudden I feel like I'm the smartest man in the world. What do you, for a championship culture, what does that consist of to you? Was it everything that you just wrote off, or in your experience when you've had a team that had the culture, is it something that goes from team to team, or what can a coach do, I should say, in your opinion, to hold the standard as much as possible?
Yeah, I'm big believer in culture. I think, number one, I think a lot of, even as popular as it is now, I think the culture is still something that a lot of coaches is still underestimated. I think a lot of coaches sometimes are like, yeah, that's a nice thing, but they're going to move on to other things. I'm a big believer in it. Like you said, I think it makes a difference. And I also think that it's something, we talk about this all the time with our team, our high school team, is that you never have it mastered, right? You never have it figured out, because culture is something you can't really touch. It's an intangible thing. And so, even if you have a great culture going, it's something you have to talk about. It's always changing, and evolving a little bit, all the time. And so we talk about it all the time within our high school team. I will say that the last 2 years, we have had a great culture within our group of people. And to the point where as a coach, when I feel like you have a great culture, as a coach, you feel like you're almost not doing very much at all.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, I agree with that.
player-led. It's player-led, like you said. And I think now more than ever, and we've talked about this on here before, things change, kids change, our society changes over the years. And now I think more than ever, kids are they're smart, they have everything at their fingertips. And I think that it is never going to work, like you said, unless you let them have their say in it, and let them have their opinion in it. So every year we talk about these things, and whatever our saying, our slogan, our goals, it could be a word, whatever it is, it comes from the team. We have team meetings, and our coaches have nothing to do with it whatsoever. And they bring it to us. They say, here's what we think. And I'll, ask them, I'll say, why, what's your reason? Why, and if they have a valid reason, here's what we think is important to us this year. That's it. We're done. That's what we go with. And we talk about it all the time. But when people ask me about culture, I explain it, especially our players. I say, I explain it like this. I don't know if it's the best or not, but I explain it as this. If a new player came to your team, your high school team right now, and they said, how do you guys do things? And if the older players on your team told them, this is what we do at this is our expectation. This is when we practice. This is what we wear to practice. This is what we're supposed to do for warm-ups. This is how we do things. That's your culture. Does that make sense?
No, I 100% agree with you. But that's what I'm saying. Like,
we got our first comment. That better be there you go.
So now this is just an FDNY, just tea. Actually, this is tea. I'm not drinking. I can't drink it. I'm not one of those. It's crazy. But yeah, let's see what Eric has to say. To build a culture, first you want to identify the type of culture you want. Easy to confuse culture with atmosphere, and also very easy to make your culture too convoluted. Make it simple to focus on. Yeah, I think. I mean, culture involves the atmosphere that breathes, but culture needs to have a purpose. Like your culture needs to be able to, kind of breathe itself, but it's got to have a purpose of what direction it's making the team go. And to me, what's different than a good culture and a championship culture is how high your standards are. Yeah. And so when I broke it down to my team, it's about having a championship mindset, and everyone needed to have it. So you need to have a relentless pursuit was part of the mindset, meaning that there's no stopping. There's no such thing as quitting. It's relentless. Like your effort, your pursuit, your want, your drive is relentless. It's a character trait that I think is so important and so valuable in sports, is that relentless. Like, nothing's going to bring you down. When you have that mentality, it's very hard to get insecure, and it makes you more consistent from training to games when you're relentless. Like, you got to have that 2-second goldfish rule and let it go.
Yeah.
And that goes right in. Yeah. And that needs to also go into resilience. So when things go the wrong way, how do you respond? You got to have things got to be able to bounce off of you when you have a bad touch. So you can really want it. You have that relentless pursuit, but when it doesn't go right, do you have the mental fortitude to be resilient? You have to have focus. Players need to be able to understand what they're doing in practice and how their progression and their progress and what they're working on in practice, what that is as far as the process. That's the process of getting to that next level. But I can be a great coach and put together the best training session. But if I can't talk to the player and the player doesn't have the character traits to understand how to use that process, then it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
There's a line between coach and player and where the responsibility lies. And at some point, the coach has to hand over the responsibility and say, now it's up to you. Mental toughness is obviously another one that you need to have. You need to be able to block what else is going on. I mean, it all kind of molds together to be able to stay focused on the goal at hand. And then you need to have a growth mindset. If you go in there thinking that you know the best, that I can't learn anything, that I'm above these players, you're never going to be able to achieve anything with that team. And too many players that I tell you that are so skilled that enter a team dynamic saying, "Oh, I'm so skilled, I'm above this."
Yeah.
You are never going to be able to play at this next level, because that's not how a team is formed. It's the players that can make their surroundings better that are going to uplift their team. And that's what I mean by a culture needs to produce something. It's got to be able to give something. It's the players understand the standards. They understand the mental fortitude that they have to happen, and they hold each other accountable. And that accountability part is part of the culture as well, but it breeds success. One thing that I feel like parents, and when it comes to youth sports and when it comes to college, like at these other levels, the amount of sacrifice that it takes to be a champion is crazy. It's borderline. It's borderline crazy. I got kickback because I would do 2-a-days during season, 6 a.m. simply because I wanted to teach them that morning routine and the effort that it takes to really move the needle.
Yep.
And
I think that's more important now than ever, where everything's a quick fix. Everyone wants instant
100%.
gratification. Yeah.
And you know what happens to your culture when they do that? They start to wear that shit as a badge of honor. Now they start to get excited, like, man, I am different. That early morning grind, like they get on their socials, early morning grind, take a photo of themselves. I'm here at the gym at 6 a.m.
But you feel like you earned it.
Yeah, and you do. I mean, that's the whole thing. And this is the best thing I love. Like, and that even goes to even the soccer rebellion culture and like what we try to do, like the inspiration and all the stuff that we have is, we try to keep it so, it's around the clock in so many ways. I mean, you're on the group chat.
Mm-hmm.
It's nonstop. We're always, and it's positive. We want to have a culture that's not negative. And I've been in cultures, especially work environments, where it's negative. It takes one toxic person to ruin, one person, and all of a sudden plants that seed. And it's like, man, you can't grow without this growth mindset. You gotta be able to understand perspectives. You got to be able to put yourself in other people's shoes. And that's why I think character is so important. And you got to define those character traits that are the standards for this team. And that's when a culture starts to breed. And when those toxic things come. And here's another thing that's difficult as a coach. Sorry, Jay.
No,
when you have those cancers that come in, cut it off.
Yeah.
You have to cut off the head of the snake. Too many times where I said, and in youth sports, maybe it's different because you want to help these kids grow. But at what, like I had a U19 team where I had a player drinking soda on the sideline. Kid you not, it drove me nuts. Showed up late to practice, didn't have the right attire on, like didn't show priority to the team, but he was a great player.
Yeah.
But the team hated him. The team asked me to kick him off the team.
Yeah. Yep.
And I didn't, because I was like, I had a soft spot in my heart for this kid because I knew like what trials that he went through.
Yeah. But sometimes addition by subtraction can be a good thing.
100%, man.
As a team.
I mean, look at the New York Knicks. You take out Julius Randle from that equation. It just seems to be more positive over there. But we'll see about that.
No, I would just add that I think that we have our core beliefs. We have 4 main kind of core beliefs, but ours can't be the same as yours. You know what I mean? Every team has to find, like you said, those different things, because it may not be important to your group or another team,
right?
Or another group of people,
right?
And I would say that as we're running out of time, I'm going to pull a Mike D here and go into overtime for a minute.
Go ahead, son. I love it. Go ahead, Jay.
This is all right. So this is we're into overtime now for the NFL playoffs. But anyways, no, I think 2 of the best things that we do as a program with our high school team is, number 1, we never talk about the score. We never talk about wins and losses. Yeah. And I tell people that, a lot of times they think either I'm lying or they think that that sounds crazy. But you're a coach, you know what the score of the game was. You know whether you won or lost or tied. All we ever talk about is our performance. All we ever talk about is our effort, because I'm a big believer in, I got this from our college coaches when I was in college. Shout out Scott and Tony. But I'm a big believer in your performance, and if your performance is at a high level, you're going to be pretty successful probably all the time. I mean, every once in a while you're going to lose, 1-0 to a really good team, maybe. But if your expectations, like you said, it goes back to your expectations. If you have high expectations every day, you're probably going to be pretty successful more times than not.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that we talk a lot about is, like you said, about negativity. We talk about positive energy, because I'm a big believer that positive energy creates more positive energy, and negative energy creates more negative energy.
Yes.
And
And in the high school space, how that you have to manage that constantly.
absolutely every day, absolutely. And we've
Every
all
time.
been a part of games. We've all been a part of teams. You've played against teams who, when the negativity creeps in, it just keeps getting more and
Yep.
more, and that team goes downhill. And so we talk about those two things a lot. But
Before we move on, Jay, so I'm going to show my book now.
yes.
Okay. What drives winning? And I've only read a few pages into this, but one of the things that it points out right in the beginning that captured my attention was, what if someone wants to know about a game that you just played in or you just coached, what's the first question they ask you?
Did you win?
Did you win? How many
Yep.
goals did you score? Like,
Yep.
especially from the player's perspective. And that's how society has built these players, that is lack of team orientation. What this book is telling me, and I do already, because I've always thought accolades should always come second.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of people that say, if you want to be goal oriented, you write it down. So what does your stat line want to look like after the game, so you can tell people, hey, I had 2 goals, 1 assist, and that's going to make you feel like you had a good game.
Yeah.
Like, that baloney, because so many things are out of your control with that this book is telling you goal setting is not the way to get the most out of your players.
Yeah.
They're saying, do not do goal setting. And I couldn't agree more with that. As far as individual goes, as far as a team goes, you need to have that vision, and then you got to be able to, set your goals, so you can kind of roadmap where you want to go. But I do think, individually, if you focus too much on your stats, you're not, it's affecting the culture negatively.
Well, I got ours because as a teacher and as a coach, what happens every day? And when you were in school, you had a game the night before. What happens? Your teacher or somebody walked by says, "How'd your game go?" They just ask if you won or not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But when you're on the team, or if you were the coach, you could beat a team, right? You could win, but you played awful. You know what I mean?
100%.
Or your culture was awful.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why we always talk about our performance a lot, because you could also lose. You could lose to the defending state champions, 1-0, and play the best you could possibly play. But everyone at your school, or whoever your friends and around you, they don't know that. Yeah, I heard you lost. That's all they know.
Yeah.
So that's why we got one more comment here from Eric. Check out Marcus Freeman's comments after the loss. That was a master class in building culture. Yeah, another coach who's doing a great job and huge on culture.
Who's
Absolutely.
Marcus Freeman?
Notre Dame's coach.
Okay.
Yeah. So with that, we'll move on to our next topic, and I will let you take the lead as the highly touted traveler on this show. But we're going to talk about what are some of the best soccer cities in the U.S., and then we're going to dive into that a little bit more. But first of all, these are just some things I got online about some rankings, and I don't know what demographics they use.
So right now it's just my face, Jay.
Okay, well, I'll change that. So no one wants to see that, obviously. Once again, I don't know what's going on here, but we got to go back. So
I got a candle lit, so I do have an ambiance. It's nice.
I do like that. I noticed that. That's good. Let's man, I tell you what, we're having technical difficulties. Should be the title tonight. All right. So best soccer cities in the U.S.: LA, Portland, Seattle, Columbus, D.C., Kansas City, Chicago, Miami, New York, Philadelphia. So you travel a lot more, and you've been to a lot of these places. But before I ask you any specific questions, what's your take on just in general?
So places that I've been to, because I can't speak for everything,
Sure.
that have probably the most robust soccer. Well, see, that's the thing with soccer cultures. They're all different. They all kind of have their own different flavor and flares to it. So when we're talking about the best, I would say the most robust, meaning they have the most options of where to play and how to play. New York, New Jersey has a ton of options to play constantly. I think that one I was pleasantly surprised, where any given night I could probably go to 8 to 10 different pickup games. Granted, where I wanted to travel, but in that
Yeah.
small space, like there was a lot of pickup going on. Chicago's also pretty robust in that sense. And it's actually really untapped in a lot of ways, but there's a lot of great ballers, I feel like, in Chicago, that you could see at a higher level. But when we did our research, and you know what, another one that surprised me was Charlotte. Surprisingly, Charlotte. When we went to
Yeah.
Charlotte this year, it was, I mean, they came out of the woodwork to play. But it's different. Each place that we travel to, we try to hit as much marquee cities as we can.
Mhm.
It's there. They're just it's how they connect with one another, which I find really fascinating. And when the culture breeds more community, that's when it's the best. When all the soccer players kind of know each other and you're able to go play, you can understand the talent level. That's when I feel like that soccer culture is the best. And then they also have a pro team that everyone likes to go to the games. That they just kind of live and breathe soccer a little bit more.
Yeah. I was
Columbus,
gonna
Ohio was one of the best as far
There you
as
go.
because their pro team, I mean, they don't have a lot of pro teams. They have the Jackets, whatever, in hockey,
Hockey,
the
yeah,
Blue
that's it.
Jackets, is it? And then they have, and it was so evident that the city rallied behind soccer in Columbus. So that was one of the best. Charlotte was similar because of that, because I
Mhm.
think they have the Panthers, then they got the Hornets, but both of them kind of suck.
Yeah.
And so there
Yeah.
seemed to be rally, and Charlotte plays inside where the Panthers play. So that was surprising. Chicago, from that standpoint, I mean, it used to be better. I'll say that. It's
Mhm.
not as the Chicago Fire is not much as big of a deal as it should be because of how big their pickup culture is there.
Okay.
Um, DC United, DC was um super surprising in how robust their pickup culture is. But same thing with DC United fans. Like they have a great stadium. It's a little bit outside the city. Um, but it was more like the craft beer drinkers that were the fans there, which was
Yeah.
interesting. But I love DC soccer culture. DC's culture in general is amazing, super diverse. I mean, if you haven't been to DC, it's one of the best. But
Yeah.
let me give you some stats. So we
Okay.
did our homework because we were making a pitch last year to be part of the Copa. And we wanted to kind of travel around with the tournament. And thank God we didn't, because USA sucked in that tournament. But the best cities that we found for soccer in the United States were LA, Seattle, Portland, Columbus, Atlanta, Miami, Houston, Austin, New York. Did I say New York already?
Yeah. No, not I don't think so.
New York.
So let me ask
So go ahead.
I was gonna ask you, so in your experience, does the MLS team in that city make for a much better soccer culture, you think?
No,
No. Okay.
no,
Not
because
not
not
necessarily, or
necessarily. So, for instance, Detroit has a great soccer culture.
okay. Yeah.
But they have a USL team, but it's not even about that. They have they have bars where you can watch EPL, you can watch Serie A, whatever the hell it is, and so the game's very much still alive there. And I will
Okay.
say the same thing about what makes New York great is that you probably got so many different EPLs, Serie A bars, Bundesliga bars,
Yeah.
more
Just
than you
because
would
of
have
how
like an
big
MLS bar. Yeah,
just because how big it is. Yeah.
how big it is. So, I don't think it's necessary. And the same thing with DC. Like DC, like I think I mean, obviously it helps the culture when you have a pro team that you can go watch it. You can watch the game at a very high level. Um, but
But it
that's what's
doesn't guarantee it, is what you're
no,
saying.
and you know what's crazy about this, man? I think soccer players, it's kind of like hockey. Like I know a lot of hockey players. Soccer players don't necessarily watch soccer, and they should. But there's a lot of players that don't watch soccer, and especially in the States. And I wonder if you get to a certain level in the game, and I'm talking more or less about the players that played maybe college or play with some semi-pro, that I have found I get surprised when I ask them if they watch, like, no, I'm kind of out.
Yeah.
Like, and so I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that, but I find that interesting that,
Well, that's interesting. Yeah.
sometimes when you become a pro player, maybe you get burnt out on watching the game because you've had so much of it that
Yeah.
you don't even want it. So,
Is there
now
anywhere else besides Detroit that you can think of that you would say has a good culture that doesn't have an MLS team? Because that was another Milwaukee. Okay.
Milwaukee is one. I mean, I've traveled primarily Midwest and East Coast, so
Yeah.
there's a lot that I can't speak for. So
Shout
I'm
out
sure
to Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids is fantastic. Grand Rapids is, but I feel so biased in even saying that. But Grand Rapids,
Well,
Michigan,
yeah.
definitely has. And what makes us so special is the community aspect of it. Like, the players know each other. The players are the Sunday football warriors here. And it just, and the talent's next level. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to, with the Soccer Rebellion, that's what we're trying to uncover, what this looks like across the landscape. So if I were to say right now, the very best that I have experienced, soccer culture wise, is New York.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I was able to play on a rooftop. I was able to go play in Manhattan, and I was able to just always play. And then I was able to go watch a pro game.
Yeah.
And I was able to go watch at a bar.
Doesn't get a whole lot better than that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that was like, that's the most vibrant.
Yeah. I think that
Columbus is second, though. Columbus was second.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think that it's unique. I don't know if others, well, maybe they are. I don't know if other sports are like this, but I think what's cool about soccer is there are places that aren't necessarily, like you said, like New York, that are, obviously the sheer size of it, but like places like Columbus, places like Portland, that have a great soccer culture that aren't necessarily the biggest cities. To me, I think that's really cool to find those kind of places. And we all know there are places all around the world that are renowned for that aren't necessarily the biggest city, in their country or in that area. But that to me is really cool to find those places, like you said, Detroit, Milwaukee, places like that are not necessarily the biggest cities, but they still have a great soccer culture. That's cool to me. But
I 100%, and that's what makes it so unique. You're 100% right. Like, best is an opinion-based thing when it comes to this, because it comes down to preference.
Yeah,
and what you like. Like, that's you're absolutely right. Like, the tight niche of certain, like Milwaukee was kind of tight niche. Grand Rapids is tight niche. And what makes, I think, Grand Rapids also special is there's also a relationship with the east side of the state, with Detroit. So it can get bigger if you needed to. But also has a really great culture from what I understand. I've been there a couple times. Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlanta's super robust. I know that I think that's the new headquarters for Federation. It used to be Kansas City.
Yeah.
But now it's in Atlanta.
All the national team training facility and everything is down there now in Atlanta. Yep. So.
And I know what the MLS championship game there a few years back, they had like 72,000 in attendance for the game.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's a good call. Yeah, they're great culture there as well. So very interesting. If you have any comments and an insight onto that from wherever you're located, obviously hit us up.
Let us
send
know.
Us some comments about that. It's very interesting, I think. I know to both of us, and obviously that's what you do all the time, is try to search these out and make an impact on these communities. So, but very interesting. And like we said, a good perspective, because it doesn't always have to be the biggest, area or city. It's all about the culture. And I think, like you said, it's how do you define it? I don't know what statistics. Is it just participation?
No, right, exactly.
There's all kinds of variables that can go into it. And, what you could feel like is the best culture one place might be different to someone else. I think that's very important. So we'll call it a day on that one right there. And I think we'll move on to our next one. So as we're getting into this right now.
Are you going to keep this on my face the whole time?
No, I'm getting ready to move it. You're getting very impatient. You've been reading too much.
I've
You
been
spend a lot of
not
time.
impatient. It's been like 15 minutes of this on my face.
I had it up there for a minute. So as we're getting there, fly Eagles fly. The Eagles did
Oh
just win the
God.
first game, and they're in the. I know, much to your surprise, it's not the Giants. Okay, but the Eagles.
I hate the Eagles more than any other team in the NFL.
Do you? Okay.
Oh, I can't
Okay.
stand them.
Well, they
Cowboys
just
are a
made it.
second.
They just made it to the Super Bowl, and as of right now, the Chiefs and the Bills are playing at the time of our show. But we just wanted to throw in the NFL playoffs right now this week. Not necessarily just these two games to decide who will go into the Super Bowl, but in general. One thing, I don't know about your level of hatred, but one thing that's been interesting has been the Washington Commanders,
Yeah.
and their level of atrocity for the last several years. It's been quite a story. They did just lose to the Eagles, but it's kind of cool to see them be successful and to see, their quarterback, a rookie, do such a great job. So before we get into, I don't want to talk just about the Eagles because I know that will upset you, but just in general, what are your thoughts on the NFL playoffs so far and all that stuff?
I think they're exciting. I think it's great. And living in Grand Rapids, it was cool to see everyone rally behind the Lions.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, they were so riddled with injury that it was hard. And I think Commanders. I mean, if you watch this game, Commanders had really crucial turnovers.
Yeah.
And so I think they were right in there with the Eagles. I really thought they could have, but freaking Saquon Barkley, I can't stand that guy. I hate Saquon Barkley, ex-Giant. But no, the playoffs are great, man. They're super exciting. I've seen the New York Giants, that's my team, win twice when they came in as like the last seed.
Yeah.
And win. So it's, I think what's special this year is I think if Mahomes wins this, it's a three-peat.
Yeah. First time ever.
First time ever.
It'll
And
be
so
the first, yeah.
what category does that put Mahomes in?
It's going to be it's going to rank right up there.
What's the score right now?
The Chiefs are up 21-16 in the third quarter.
Okay, that's a good game.
So yeah, it's a good game so far. And I believe I heard before we came on tonight that no team has even gotten to the Super Bowl 3 times in a row. So the teams that did win 2 in a row lost
Didn't
at
go into
some
the
point
next
in
year.
the playoffs. Yeah, didn't even get to the Super Bowl. So if they even get to the Super Bowl, that'd be an accomplishment. But yeah, I mean, you got to start talking about. I'm a big believer. I don't know about you, but when people start talking about legacies and where do guys rank and all those kind of things, I always want to wait until they're done playing. You know what I mean? At some point, um, with all this, like LeBron and different players and things like that. But to me, it's like at some point when Mahomes is done playing, I mean, you're going to have to ranking right up there with some of the best ever because,
You have to.
it's pretty crazy what they've done. I mean, I think like 7 straight years maybe they've been to the division or the conference final to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting to be some crazy stuff.
It is crazy, man. And it's once your team starts getting this consistent, and then you know what the other thing is? I think the Taylor Swift thing pisses everyone off.
Yeah,
with the Kansas City Chiefs. Like it's just like
yeah.
and Travis Kelce is in every freaking ad right now.
Yeah,
like he is everywhere. Like it doesn't matter what the hell it's for. It doesn't even make any sense. Like he goes from like car insurance to deodorant, and I get tired of Travis Kelce. That whole thing, I'm over that. But
I think that happens with it's like the old Patriots, right? You know what I mean? Whenever a team's been there for a long time, the more they're there, the more they're on TV. I heard a guy on a show talking about that earlier this week. The hatred kind of sets in for people, like you said, because they're always on that primetime game now, and
yeah,
it's either you turn into one of those people who you either root for them or you hate them and you want to see them, be done. You want to see them lose finally. Yeah. And I feel like that's where they're at. They're kind of like where the Patriots were for a long time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely. Man, it's the same thing with the Yankees, with the Bulls, the Lakers. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I do have a question for you. I think this is interesting, maybe just to throw out there. In sports in general, or for sports in general, do you think that's a good thing or not?
Yeah.
Like a dynasty kind of person? Like
I think, I mean, when you break the barrier of like what's possible, and you form a team that's not just a one shot, I think it's greatness. And I think greatness is exactly what you're trying to get out of in sports. I think everyone's trying to witness, generational talents teams.
Yeah.
And so I think, I think it's great. And the fact that you get angry that a team keeps winning because it's not your team.
Yeah.
That creates a better storyline. I think it creates interesting parodies within the league. So I do think it's good. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I didn't used to, but the more I've thought about it, and people have come up on different TV shows and things like that on sports shows. I do another team to throw out there. We didn't mention, the Golden State Warriors. All those years of, it seemed like people would either, all of a sudden you see people everywhere with Steph Curry jerseys that never, when I was growing up, I don't know about you, but I never saw anybody that was a Warriors fan.
No.
But all of a sudden you're either a Warriors fan or you hated them because you got sick of seeing them in the finals every single year. So I think that for sports in general, I think it is a good thing. I think because it draws attention, like you said, whether it's good or bad, it brings a lot of attention to, people either want to see them finally get beat or they jump on the bandwagon and all of a sudden, they create this excitement. But I think that in general, I agree. I think that they're good.
Was there a dynasty that you absolutely hated?
Was there a dynasty that I hated? Well, I would say, as a Cavs fan, the Warriors.
Okay.
I didn't like that. I was a big Bulls fan, so I love the Bulls. I can't, I have to, I didn't mind. I would say the Patriots. I hated the Patriots.
The Patriots I hated the most, I think.
I'd probably say the Patriots were the biggest one. Yeah. I kind of disliked, I don't dislike Steph Curry or anything, but I dislike that era of all the Warriors always be. But I'd say the Patriots. Just always Tom Brady, always the Patriots, always Belichick, and just.
Well, he's 0-2 against New York, Tom Brady.
Yeah, I despise that. So Eric says dynasties are great. Some love the greatness when others get their villains and stuff like that. Yeah, I think I agree.
Yeah.
So
best dynasty I've ever seen were the Yankees, starting in '96.
Yeah,
that was man, what an amazing run. Now now it's like gut check time. Anytime I watch the Yankees, like baseball's just so different now.
Well, I was going to say it's much like my Manchester United, same thing.
You guys won today.
Well, yeah, but they're awful.
Did you see that goal, by the way, that they had?
Yeah, they won, but
that ricochet, awful. Like I gave it crazy topspin.
They our AC Milan won yesterday too. Great game.
I know.
I was going to ask you, came from behind in the last 5 minutes. But when I was growing up and I got into them, they were just one of those dynasties like the Yankees. It's like if they finished second in the league, it was an awful season.
Right.
And now they're just terrible. But the Yankees had a good run. One that we weren't around for would be the UCLA basketball. That had to be pretty phenomenal.
That's right.
Probably the old Celtics, when they won, I don't know how many championships all the time.
Yeah.
So
college football, I feel like Alabama was one for a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like they were definitely a villain. would you agree? A lot of people.
Yeah, they thought they were a villain. Yep.
Yeah.
And then USC was until they got caught doing whatever they did.
Yeah, Reggie Bush era and all that stuff. Yeah, I would agree. So, I think it's interesting topic. I think we all agree on that, though, that it's better for the sports in general. So we'll move along on that one. So we have our street soccer highlights here from some Soccer Rebellion.
Jay, is my face still the screen?
No, it's not.
Why am I only looking at my face?
I don't know. Nobody wants to only look at that. I don't know.
I agree.
Eric chimed in. He said, UConn women's basketball. Yep, another great show.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
Unbelievable dynasty there. I'm showing the cross-cultural street soccer highlights. You're not seeing it?
I'm not seeing anything.
All right. Well, you're on there, and I'm playing it right now. Everything I have achieved in football is due to playing football in the streets with my friends. Zinedine Zidane.
Somebody
Here it comes. Whoa, there we go.
Somebody gonna die today. Somebody gonna die today. Somebody gonna die today.
Love it.
Her face is a peppermint.
But what do you mean? That flick in that moment, only a futsal player.
Yep.
Only a futsal player would see space that to be able to flick that over. I didn't see it. I just watched that religiously.
Yep.
So,
Well,
but
just to know from our backroom staff, Eric can see everything, so that's good. That's what's important for our
that's
viewers.
good. That is good. So, okay, I don't know what the hell's going on.
No, talk
So,
us through that though. Here's what I
so
like. I'll just tell you real quick. I like the
yeah,
simplicity. I know it looks
yes,
great and it's great, but sometimes the best tricks and flicks are just simplicity.
I agree with you, and I just think he took advantage of, and that player that was playing him is a good guy, but he's ultra aggressive. Like
Yep.
he comes at you always super fast. So he took the chair from underneath him and flipped it over him, and that's Sammy. Sammy just played actually on the U.S. national team for
Really?
futsal. Yeah, so he's a
Well,
great defender, long kid, just futsal's in his blood. He's so smooth out there, very intelligent, and as you can see, the game is super slow for him. That technique is crazy to be able to flick that at that height and then bring it down and just continue your play like nothing just happened.
Yep.
Insane. One of the best plays I've ever witnessed.
Love it. Yeah, love it. And like I said, what I like is the simplicity of it. And I think one of the things I've noticed, we've had our soccer neighborhood, our futsal league going with kids here in our area, is the difference between, obviously that's pretty high level right there, but is composure, on the ball, and so many younger players panic. I think, I don't know about your thoughts, but it's like they panic when they get the ball. They panic, and it's always so frantic. And it's like, obviously the better your skill level is, the easier it is to relax and be composed on the ball. But I think, people are screaming and parents are screaming and all this stuff going on just makes it worse. I love to see when kids are a little bit relaxed and composed. And I'm sure you're the same. Even if they don't pull it off, it's just, you got to have some composure on the ball.
Yeah, 100%.
So love that. Check out their, Soccer Rebellion website for a lot more highlights and video. You guys have some great stuff on there.
And our YouTube. Our YouTube. We got a lot of mixtapes. So please, go check them out.
Yep. And Soccer Rebellion website. And now, Spanish word of the week. All right. I surprised you on this one because our New Year's resolution, mainly yours, but was to work on your Spanish. So last week was, Martin Luther King Day. So I thought it'd be good to throw out some Martin Luther King, some equality.
I love it.
And, the Soccer Rebellion, big on, equality in the community and the soccer world that we're trying to work on.
Absolutely.
So we got igualdad, and I apologize for my pronunciation. It's Spanish for equality. You want to give a try at that next sentence, big guy?
I can't even see the screen, or else I would.
You can't.
I still can only see my face. Hold on, I'm gonna leave and come back.
That's too bad. No, we're almost done. Deberíamos vivir en un mundo de igualdad is we should live in a world of equality. So again, apologies for our lack of Spanish, but we're trying to continue to work on it. So
hold on, now I see it.
Igualdad is equality. So
Jay, you know what happened? I was on the other StreamYard.
Well, your dual personalities were coming through this.
Oh my God. So hold on, let's say that one again. So, that's a tough one.
Igualdad is equality.
Igualdad, yep.
Now you got to give it a shot at that sentence.
Deberíamos vivir en un mundo de igualdad.
There you go. We should live in a world of equality for Martin Luther King Day.
Great man.
Yep. So we got to keep working on that. That was our New Year's resolution. Igualdad, equality. But anyways, anything else out there you want to give a shout out? And you got a lot of stuff going on.
So the facility, we've had a setback in the facility. So anyone that's watching, we are heartbroken that this is happening, but we do want to get this right. And this is a big learning curve for us. We've never constructed a brand new facility basically from scratch in a warehouse. So there's a lot of things that are unpredictable that are happening, but we have to be compliant for us to be able to be a business service. And so there's a lot of things that are out of our control that we have to just make sure that we get up to code and get up to standard, and it's for the public safety. So we're all for it, and we want to do this right. We don't want to take any shortcuts. So we apologize for the delay. We were supposed to start the league next week, and now we're looking to be anywhere from 2 weeks out to 2 months out. It's really hard to tell. So anyway, there's a lot of moving parts, and it's coming, and it's going to be amazing. We promise. So bear with us. We don't like it either. We're bleeding money. We still have to pay rent and pay all this construction without any money coming in. So it's hard on us. But we know that this is going to be worth it for the community and the culture and the players at the end. So thank you for bearing with us. It's honestly, thank you for sticking with us and the loyalty for the players that, still are going to continue to come to the underground in our facility and have patience. So that's all I got. Otherwise than that, go Knicks. We look good again. So how about you? What do you got to say?
Nothing. Just futsal league, our soccer neighborhood league's going right now,
Nice.
and club's getting ready to hopefully, like you said, with the weather, get back outside at some point. Yeah. I've had enough of that polar vortex myself.
Oh my God! Yeah.
So hopefully we can all just get back outside. And like I said, AC Milan with a big win there. So good to hear that. And that's about it. Just trying to get back into the swing of things. So. Make sure you check out the Soccer Rebellion on social media, Instagram. Keep up with you put a lot of updates on just about every day about the underground facility. There's a lot of cool stuff. So if you haven't checked that out, I really urge everybody out there to check it out, because a lot of cool stuff, and you're showing a lot of good stuff, Mike D, behind the scenes. Everything that's going into there. So everybody in that community should be really excited. I know if I was a little kid, they'd have to kick me out every night, man. That's all I can say.
Hey, right.
All right. So until next time, we'll see you again here, straight from the training ground, Sunday Night Soccer with the Soccer Rebellion.